Call the meeting to order. If you would, please all rise. I'm going to ask Commissioner Marshall to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day that you bless us with, a day that we've never seen before. We thank you for all the blessings that you're going to bless us in the future. Dear Lord, we thank you for the leadership that we have. We thank you for the staff that prepares our agenda and carry out the day-to-day business for this county. Dear Lord, we say a special prayer for those serving in our military, that they are doing your will, and more importantly, that they make it back home. We pray, Lord, that you also bless and give wisdom to our president, as well as even our governor. And more importantly, Lord, I pray that peace and harmony prevail in this country of ours, and that politics itself separate and go to the side. All these blessings we ask and thank you in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioners, inside your packet, you have your minutes from the work session of April the 22nd and the regular session minutes of April the 23rd. If there are no additions or deletions or corrections that need to be made, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Agenda item 5A is our first appointment. This is for the Hospital Authority of Valdosta and Lowndes County. Mr. Pritchard.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the term of Dr. Mary Margaret Richardson will expire on the Hospital Authority as of June 1st. You have been given the names from the authority of candidates as follows: Ms. Shirley Garland, Ms. Elsie Napier, and Dr. Mary Margaret Richardson.
Okay, any questions from Mr. Pritchard? Okay, hearing none, I'll open it up to nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recommend Shirley J. Garland as the appointee for the Hospital Authority.
Okay, we have one recommendation for Ms. Shirley Garland. Okay, any others? Okay, hearing none, then Ms. Shirley Garland will be appointed by acclamation to the Hospital Authority of Valdosta and Lowndes County. Agenda item 5B is for the Valdosta Lowndes County Airport Authority. Mr. Pritchard.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the term of Mr. Anthony Payton will expire May the 21st, and Mr. Payton has expressed an interest in being reappointed to the Valdosta Lowndes Airport Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. Any questions for Mr. Pritchard? Okay, at this time, I'll open the floor up for nominations. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Mr. Anthony Payton be reappointed.
Okay, we have Mr. Anthony Payton to be reappointed. Are there any other nominations?
No, sir.
Okay, hearing none, then Mr. Anthony Payton will be reappointed to the Valdosta Lowndes County Airport Authority. Agenda item 6A is our first public hearing item. This is REZ 2019-06. It's for Glenn Gregory. It's located at Stallings Road. It currently is EA. The request is RA and R1. It has well and septic, and it involves 11.111 acres. Ms. Stevenson?
Thank you. This is a request to rezone two sections of the applicant's property located on Stallings Road. The first section, comprised of two parcels, was previously created via a family ties division and is approximately 6 acres total. The applicant is seeking RA zoning in order to create ULDC conforming parcels. The second section, the southwestern part of the property, is approximately 5.1 acres, and the applicant is requesting R1 zoning in order to subdivide it into 3 lots. The Planning Commission made a unanimous recommendation for approval. The TRC had no objectionable comments, and staff finds the request overall consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Stevenson. Any questions for Ms. Stevenson? Okay, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Okay, hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor of the request? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public participation portion of the hearing and turn it back over to the commissioners for your consideration.
Motion to approve the rezoning of both.
Okay, we have a motion then to approve the rezoning request. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 6B is REZ 2019-07, Lcboc CFA, Lakes Boulevard, CH and R10 to CH. It has water and sewer, and it involves 2.68 acres. Ms. Stevens.
This is a request to rezone approximately 4/10 of an acre of the 2.68 acres property from R10 to CH. The applicant intends to redevelop a portion of an existing motel and closed restaurant, and as part of the property lines realignment, remove the split zoning. The Planning Commission recommended approval unanimously. TRC had no objectionable comments, and staff finds the request overall consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Stevens? Okay, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Bill Nigel, 1007 North Patterson Street, Valdosta, Georgia. Good afternoon, Chairman,
Good afternoon.
Commissioners. Here to answer any questions y'all might have about this one. And if not, I'll sit down.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Knight?
No question.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Nigel.
Mr. Knight. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the request? Hearing none, then we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and turn it over to the commissioners for your consideration.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the rezoning request. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 6C is the TWR 2019-01. This is for Value Concepts Incorporated, US 84 East. It's EA, and the request is for a new 300-foot telecommunication tower. Ms. Stevenson, if you would, go ahead and make that presentation, then I'll have a comment following that.
Yes, sir. This is a request to construct a 300-foot guide telecommunications tower on Highway 84 East. The motivation behind the request is to fill in service gaps currently experienced in the existing coverage area. The proposed tower subject property is approximately 800 feet to the south of an existing 300-foot tower. Co-location was studied, however, determined to not be feasible. Since yesterday's work session, staff has received word from Moody Air Force Base personnel that the tower should not be a large impact regarding the helicopter flight path. They are still awaiting their TERPS analysis. FAA determination is still pending. At the regular April meeting of the Planning Commission voted to table their consideration until their May meeting. TRC considered the request and had no objectionable comments, and staff has found the request overall consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Commissioners, if you recall at the work session yesterday morning, we discussed this, and we felt like that it was important that we try to get that FAA report in hand before we actually make a decision on this. At the same time, this information on the Turk report, I'm not sure. Ms. Stevenson, has anyone given you any kind of an idea when that may be available?
No, sir, nothing definitive.
Okay. Well, I'd say at this time right now, my recommendation would be to table this until our next meeting. If there's any objections.
Motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion to table. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion to table? Hearing none, all in favor of tabling, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, agenda item 7A is the purchase of computer server blades and software. Mr. Costi.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners.
Good evening.
As discussed yesterday, this is the replacement of existing server blades that will replace the overall compute for our primary North Lowndes data center. It is replacing 4 aged blades.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Costi?
Is there any value in the old blades?
There's some. They will be put on gov deals.
Okay.
The issue with the old blades is that when they fall out of support, that means they fall out of support from the manufacturer, and getting updates and upgrades for them ceases.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the purchase of the computer server blades and software. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7B is backup appliance. Mr. Costi.
Yes, sir. Again, this is also to replace a piece of equipment that has reached end of life. This is a backup appliance that will sit at the South Lowndes Data Center that will be the primary backup of the data at the North Lowndes Data Center.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Costi? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve the purchase of the backup appliance. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7C is professional services for the Coleman Road Lift Station Force Main Replacement. Mr. Dowdy.
Yes, sir. Lowndes County received a proposal from Lowell Engineering for the engineering construction plan preparation for Coleman Road Lift Station Force Main Replacement. Coleman Road Force Main is in need of upsizing and replacement. This is the beginning of our main trunk line that transports the wastewater from the northern end of the county down to the LAS. The fees will be 9% of construction.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Staley? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
Do we have a motion then to approve the professional services for Coleman Road Lift Station Force Main Replacement? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7D is the professional engineering and surveying services for the TIA projects. Mr. Fletcher.
Yes, sir. County engineering staff has met with the local engineering firms to discuss requirements and qualifications for engineering and surveying services for projects that will fall under TIA. A fee schedule has been developed with 4% for engineering, 2% for surveying, 2% for environmental, and 1% for right-of-way deed acquisition. Staff, along with the county manager, will analyze each project and distribute the projects accordingly to the local firms. Not all of the projects will require the full, each portion of this, but We're just trying to establish a certain fee schedule to go by.
Sure. Okay. Any questions from Mr. Fletcher? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a motion to approve the professional engineering and surveying services for the TIA projects? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7E is the Georgia Department of Transportation, the TIA project agreement for High Tower Road and Cooper Road Northeast, the paving and drainage improvements. Mr. Fletcher?
Yes, sir. This is a contract between the Georgia Department of Transportation and Lowndes County to approve the local administration of the High Tower Road and Cooper Road Northeast paving and drainage project.
Any questions for Mr. Fletcher? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize chairman to sign the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7F is the amendment to the Lowndes County Fire Rescue Standard Operating Procedures. Oh, we got a new presenter this afternoon.
All right.
Mr. Chairman and Commission.
Welcome.
Captain Green said y'all had some questions yesterday. The amendment or the request is for updating our medical protocols. The hospital recently changed medical directors, EMS service. Therefore, it made our protocols invalid. So with that, they helped us obtain a medical director, so we're wanting to update our medical protocols.
Any questions? Because I'm certainly he's hoping not.
Yeah, under the cardiac section,
I'll help you the best I can.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve amendment to Lowndes County Fire Department Standard Operating Procedures.
Can we have a motion then to approve or amend the Lowndes County Fire Rescue Standard Operating Procedures? Do we have a second?
second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7G is the 2020 Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant Program request for proposals. Yes, sir.
Chairman,
Mr. Green.
Commissioners, if you have any questions, I brought my instrument with me.
Brought your expert with you. Huh?
That's it. This is a 2020 grant for the juvenile justice. We do this annually. This is just for the next go-around. It's a little under $461,000. It will benefit a total of 92 youth, 80 of them in the functional family therapy, and the other 12 thinking for a change.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Green? Thank you, sir. Okay, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that we authorize the chairman to sign the memorandum of understanding and staff to submit the grant application.
Okay, we have a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the memorandum of understanding. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 8A is a bid for 2 New Year model commercial rotary brush mowers. Ms. Black?
Yes, sir. We solicited bids for these 2 commercial rotary brush mowers. They're remote control mowers. They will be used by Public Works for mowing the I-75 exit ramps. That is currently done through a contract with a vendor. We received bids from 2 vendors who met the specifications. Staff at Public Works tested both mowers out and found that the low bidder's performance did not meet their needs. Their bids received were from Ag Pro for $39,985 each, and for Reynolds Warren for $45,000 each, and the recommendation was for Reynolds Warren.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Black?
Yes, sir. Just curious, Does this require any additional transportation equipment or anything? I mean, I'm assuming we've got what we need to mobilize this thing from area to area.
They're low-profile mowers. They just go on a standard trailer.
Okay, just curious.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Any other questions? Hearing none, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we purchase the rental Warren, Ridge Runners at $45,000 apiece.
Do we have a motion to approve the bid for Reynolds Warren for the 2019 Ridge Runner at $45,000 each? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Black. Ms. Cumbus as well. Thank you. Agenda item 9, County Manager's Report. Mr. Pritchard.
No additional report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pritchard. We have one citizen wishing to be heard. Mr. John Quarterman. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
All righty. I want to be sure I turned it in early enough this time, which would be yesterday. I'm John Quarterman. I live at 6565 Quarterman Road. You want the postal address too?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I live, do you want my postal address too, or is my residence?
Whatever you have right here.
All right. Well, my postal address is 3338 Country Club Road, PMB 336.
Okay, that'll be fine.
All right. So, embarrassing as it is, I'm here to compliment a whole bunch of people and invite you to a few events. I'm going to start with one who's not on the letter that I handed you yesterday, which is Steve Stalvey and Utilities for actually upgrading a water main, and the commissioners for approving that before it breaks. I like that. And congratulations to engineering, particularly Chad McLeod, and to the commissioners, particularly Joyce Evans and Marcus Marshall, for the boat ramp. It's finally almost finished. Looking forward to it. And people have already been using that park, which you bought several years ago. Thanks for that. So several years ago, Chairman, when we talked about the boat ramp, I mentioned that we have, I mean Walls Watershed Coalition, that we have a draft resolution in support of the Lcboc River Water Trail. And I believe at the time you said you prefer to wait till the ribbon cutting for the boat ramp. So I'm bringing this back up. This is very similar to the version you saw before. It just has tacked on to the end of the whereases that the boat ramp is completed, which I assume at the time it's signed would be true. Okay, and we also, well, let's not get ahead of myself here. Coming up in June, there's a thing called Paddle Georgia. Every year, this outfit picks a river and paddles down it. This year they picked our Withlacoochee River. They paddled for 7 days, so they're going to have to make a right at Sewanee and keep going. They're going to get out between Mayo and Lurville. But they're starting at Troopville Boat Ramp. So I'd like to invite all of you to come down. You don't even have to paddle. You can sit at our tent there at the confluence and watch all the paddlers paddle by. Or if you do want to paddle, if you want just one day, June 17th is professional day. So that would be elected officials get in free. Other people pay $30. And there is another water trail resolution for the Withlacoochee and Little River Water Trail, which didn't even exist when we first started talking about the Lcboc River Water Trail. Similar idea. This one specifically mentions that the signs, the road signs being made by Public Works, thank you, Robin Cumbus, probably will mostly be in place by the time that the Paddle Georgia comes by, which will be great advertising for Lowndes County because they're going to be getting in and getting out at these landings, so they will see those signs. And we have a Sewanee River Keeper songwriting contest coming up August 24th. Y'all look like songwriters to me. So I know you'll submit something or at least come watch. And we have a A new sponsor this year, our top-level sponsor is Georgia Beer Company. If you haven't been there, I recommend them. Finally, we have the Walls Boomerang Paddle Race, our other paddle race, October 26th, starting at the state line ramp, paddling into Florida and back. So you may want to come deal with that. Maybe you want to paddle, or maybe someone would like to welcome the paddlers back to the state of Georgia and the county of Lowndes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Commissioners, any comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.